that presented?
One modification. Ready to go, Jess?
Yeah, we're ready. Took a minute.
Just one modification. We have on for action the Southampton Township Data Center Ordinance. We received through our submission portal a revised version of that this week. Steve reached out to the township to ask them about, is this a new submission? We haven't heard back. So it was submitted to us as an official submission through that portal. So I think we can have some discussion on that today, but I think we'd recommend tabling that. And then we could take a look at this revised version to see what edits have been made. We were working with the township informally to review back and forth some ideas they had. I think they've incorporated some of those and they may be reflected in that updated version, but we do want to make sure that the official action of the planning commission is based upon that final version.
Thank you. We received any written comments from any of the residents?
Yes, actually this morning or late last night, I received an email from Blyden Potts. He had comments on the Southampton Data Center Ordinance. I forwarded everyone that email this morning. So depending whether or not you checked your email, you may or may not have sent it. But we'll send that out to you as well as part of the agenda or part of the minutes.
Thank you. Are there any comments from anybody that's attending the meeting, public? Do we have any online virtual comments? Seeing none, we will move.
Somebody just raised their hand.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thomas, Al?
Yes, my name is Thomas Howe. I'm with the Clean Air Board, Central Pennsylvania. And we are holding a public forum on data centers this evening at St. John's Episcopal Church in Carlisle at 7 p.m. And the meeting is open to the public, and it's also open to Zoom participants. You can register online at the cleanairboard.com website. And we expect a good turnout, and we welcome everyone's participation. We have 6 speakers lined up to talk about various aspects of data centers. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just to be a point of clarity, are you recommending that we table the Southampton
Yes, there was.
for conversation today?
Yeah, there was a revised version of the ordinance that was put out. So we had comments ready to go on the first version. So there's a revised version. We want to make sure our comments, and also if you have comments, are reflective of that final version that they're considering to adopt. So there may be some general discussion from the board today on what we received, but they won't be taking action on it. We'll be tabling that till next month.
All right.
All righty. Move on to our action items. And the first item would be the approval of the minutes from our April 16 meeting.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the April meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So looks like a light action item agenda today. So, and we talked about Southampton a little bit. Want to discuss that to a certain extent?
Probably limited. I don't know, Steve, if you want to give an overview of what.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of gave the overview. I've been working with Larry at Southampton Township on their data center ordinance. You guys remember they submitted a data center overlay, and we had a lot of comments on that, comments and concerns. That was adopted. Then they tried to extend the overlay, which was met with a whole lot of citizen feedback. So they denied that. And part of our recommendation in that expansion of the overlay was you guys need to take a step back and do some studies, figure out where you want them, where you don't, figure out where the infrastructure is correct, and then make that your data center area. Well, I think they sat down and they took our recommendation, and they ended up saying, let's just put it in the manufacturing district. So that's what they want to do. They want to remove the overlay, allow data centers by conditional use in the manufacturing district. And then they have all kinds of requirements for the data center. And that's where we are. We're in those requirements, and we've been back and forth And I think some of the discussion I had with Larry, he addressed it and sent it to me on Monday. And I said, Larry, I left him a voicemail. I said, I can't review this for our meeting this week. It's too late. So he didn't call me back. I can only assume that he did get that message. And I told him on the phone that we would have to table it until the June meeting. Are there any questions?
My only question is, so in terms of the process, was the planning commission a big part of this? Were the supervisors in favor of it? Do we know any of that, or this is
So-
the manager doing this?
Southampton actually had a planning committee.
Right, made up of
So the
supervisors.
supervisors are their planning commission, but that's changing. They actually, they advertise and they're forming a separate planning commission, like most other municipalities. That's all processing right now. Kirk, do you know where that stands?
I believe they have some individuals selected for the planning
So
commission.
they have a selection, but they're in the process of appointing, and so that is moving ahead. But at this point, the only person I'm aware of that's been involved has been Larry, who's their codes enforcement zoning guy, and Scott Mack, who is one of the supervisors. And Scott Mack's kind of in the township with Larry. So.
This, what's proposed, would repeal the current ordinance. then?
Yeah, they're going to repeal the overlay.
Okay.
And then they're going to add it by conditional use in the manufacturing zone. And then they're going to have all of the requirements that come along with that conditional use.
Will those both come to us again, the repeal of the overlay?
Yeah, that's they had it to us and then they submitted a bunch of changes on Monday. So next month we will discuss and actually make an action on that because it does change the map.
Right.
It removes the overlay.
Just for my clarity then, so the overlay district is still in place until it's officially repealed, which is not going to happen this month.
Correct.
And do they need our comment before they can repeal it?
They need our comments before their public hearing, yes.
Okay.
I think when we look,
There'll be a public hearing to repeal it and to implement the new ordinance at the same time.
right, so when they amend their ordinance, they set a public hearing date, and then depending how you read the MPC, they have to have our comments and, well, their planning commission is not in effect, but their planning committee's comments 30 to 45 days ahead of the public hearing. So it's a standard process for zoning amendments. I think on this one, you're looking over the comments that we have, put a lot of the data center stuff in there. At this point, there's so many resources out there for municipalities. It really shouldn't be a mystery of how to regulate some of these things. It's really a policy decision on their behalf of how strict or how liberal they want to be on the regulation. And I think that Southampton has a lot of those protections in here. I think you can see this from some of our comments. It's administratively, I think just need to clean some of these things up so that we don't have multiple duplicative standards and we're very clear on what we want to have apply and where.
Any other comments on that?
Does that answer your question, sir?
It does. I have, I guess, two parts. One, if they wish to, Southampton wishes to rezone an area into manufacturing that currently is not zoned manufacturing, would that zoning recommendations come back to the county then? All right. And then secondly, ordinances. Is there any there's three types, basically. You've got enterprise, location, and then hyperscale. Is there any language in those that limits those three types of data set?
No, not in what they have here. They're taking data centers as a whole, and they're not distinguishing between the various types or sizes.
Thank you.
Maybe it's more of an appropriate comment for next month, but is there any appetite for like decommissioning or plans or having bonds or sureties after the data center is gone? I know a lot of model ordinances are kind of incorporating that, but has there been any thought, even if it would be necessary?
That was mentioned.
I could kind of answer that.
I don't remember.
In the email that you got last night from, I'm not Blyden Potts, but we do address that.
Okay, okay.
In there, and there is not, but it is a comment from the community
Okay.
in there.
Now, one thing I want to clarify, and I've been having this discussion a lot, the decommissioning requirements for a data center are not to remove the building.
Right.
The decommissioning requirements for data centers are to remove the computer components and the generators and things like that to clean up the site to make it usable if the data center were to ever stop operating. I don't know of any ordinance that has decommissioning requirements to remove an actual building. Usually it applies to cell towers, solar panels, wind energy. They aren't buildings. They can just be pulled out of the ground. So the decommissioning requires you to return the site to its natural state. The data center can't require the building, but you can have all the components pulled. So that's more of a space for anyone to use.
Are there any other uses that have decommissioning requirements, or is this generally single?
Again, solar, wind,
Okay.
cell towers. That's about it. I can't think of it. Kirk, can you think of anything
No.
off the top of your head?
Yeah, I think you have to be careful in the decommissioning. stuff,
Yes.
You know, especially as you apply it to the community that, you know, data centers are new. And I think a lot of times then we develop pages and pages of regulations for data centers that could apply to other intensive uses in the municipality. And I think municipalities look at this stuff, and you need to be consistent how they regulate so that data centers aren't the issue of the day and they achieve extensive regulation. While other intensive uses may be out there, may have more impacts to the community and receiving less regulation.
And that's kind of the point I was going down too. Like all the other uses in the manufacturing district, like if any of those companies get up and leave, like you could have the exact same issues that the data center user did.
And then you don't have the requirements to clean out the
Yeah.
building.
Anybody else? Since it's on our agenda, I believe we need a motion to table.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to table, and that would be to the June meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to our informational items.
Okay, so our first one is code of conduct. So probably when all the planning commission members see that on the agenda, everyone thought, well, somebody did something, right? It's not the case. This was an interesting one that kind of came about. I'm part of a county planning directors group through CCAP. And the questions get put out back and forth among the group of discussing different issues that everyone's facing. There was an interesting one that came in. Someone said, did anyone else have codes of conduct for their planning commission members? And everyone kind of said, no. And then I responded and said, no, but why do you ask? And then it came back and said, well, we had a member who was put in a lot of very persuasive material on Facebook, a lot of social media posts, and was representing himself as a voice of the county. So everyone started to jump in, and then Mifflin County actually had put back to the group a code of conduct that they had. So the more I thought about it, it might be something good for us to look into. I think that all of our members now are doing a great job. We appreciate all the work that you do publicly. I think you're doing a great job of notifying whomever, whatever municipality you're in, of whether you're speaking for yourself or on behalf of the county planning commission. But that's not to say in the future, we don't get a rogue member or two that decides that they're going to do things on their own. And I think when we're recruiting new members too, for them to see this code of conduct, to understand what they're getting into. This isn't a platform for them to have their own personal opinions under the auspices of the Cumberland County Planning Commission be directed towards our municipal partners. So I talked to Kelly and George as our executive committee, asked them if they wanted to bring this to the board for some discussion. Wanted to put it on today, some examples, have some discussion. If the board wants to move forward with this, I would suggest forming a committee that can work with me, and we can put something together and bring it back later for review and potential adoption of the board.
I think it's a great idea. We had talked before one of our retreats, I guess, about sort of the job description of what it was to be on the planning commission. And, pro forma, it's 9 people, you're a citizen, et cetera, et cetera. But I think this drills down a little bit, and I would certainly volunteer. I've written a lot of bylaws for nonprofits. I'd volunteer to be on that committee. I think it's an opportunity to really better say, if you want to be on the planning commission, it's a real privilege. And here are some of the boundaries and guidelines. And so I think we could even flesh it out a little bit frankly.
I'd be happy to be on that committee too. I know my company just updated their social media code of conduct for us. And I think there's a lot of content in there that's relevant to what we'd be doing here in terms of how you represent yourself. So
I'd be happy to be on it as well.
Yeah, popular committee, all right. You might as well join the fun.
When you brought it up or, asked me about it, I was like, okay, what's going on that I don't know about?
Yeah, right. I had the same
Okay,
reaction.
Okay, I feel better now, but then it's like, when we started discussing it, I think it is absolutely appropriate in that it's not squelching anybody's opinion or able to, let their positions known, but it would need to be not referencing their position here or at the county. It would be their position. So I think just some clarity on that and knowing that when you would apply to be on the planning commission, it wouldn't be something new that you didn't know about. This is what is expected. So I think it's appropriate and timely.
One comment I would have, you have the state ethics statute, and all of the members are currently covered under that state ethics statute. I would want to make sure that whatever is done with the code of conduct is not in conflict with the state ethics law,
Have to be hand in hand.
because that's the overarching statute. Now, that's primarily focused on financial interests, but there could be some overlap.
Definitely need to be hand in hand and coordinated so there's no
Right.
conflict.
Right.
Fred, would you recommend we reference that in the?
I would definitely recommend that be referenced, yes.
I did have a question, because every nonprofit I've written, bylaws for always gets into harassment and, fair and equal stuff. If you want to get grants from anybody, you have to have that in your bylaws. Does the state ethics statute address harassment and sexual and racial
No,
discrimination?
it's not. It's financially oriented, dealing with conflicts of interest that might occur with respect to decisions that are made that have any, some type of financial impact.
So I'm not saying we need the harassment stuff, but every other bylaw I ever looked at has that in there due to the funding from federal government, et cetera. And I don't know. And that's why I'd be interested in being on the committee.
And I
Looking
don't
at
know
that.
if there's a way to reference the county policy on all of those items that we have established, as this group would be subject to the expectations of meeting those,
You do have those
yes, we have
for employees or?
for employees. So I don't know if it could be referenced as, as you are quasi representative of the county. I guess that would have to be something the attorneys would opine on.
You have a problem with any of that suggestion?
No. I mean, if there's a way to incorporate, I just don't want to rework the,
Duplicate,
yeah, like
sure.
redo
No, I agree. I agree
the whole thing
completely.
if we already have.
But as a member, I've never seen that policy. That was never shown to me because I'm not an employee of the county. So I've never agreed to non-harassment, non-sexual discrimination as a member of this board. Do we need to? I don't know, but it's pretty much a standard pro forma, some of the things that come up in ethics discussion.
Kirk, the other thing that I would ask is, as oftentimes the decisions of this board are included in litigation, would an ethics clause provide some protection if somebody is speaking out of school that would then be brought into a litigation situation? That, well, they're the planning commission member and they said that they thought this was a great use to have a data center in downtown Mechanicsburg or something like that. I don't know if that would protect planning commission members from that sort of thing as well.
I saw in the bylaws for Mifflin County they provided, they do have an indemnification clause in there.
Oh,
So
okay.
we could emulate that.
Okay.
And Kevin, we'll share back too with the solicitor. I know the board's been putting in focus on, selection of our boards and consistency. So it might be something you want to look at countywide for a lot of our boards.
Agreed. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to plans and minor amendments.
Yes, so it's May, so in April, we saw 13 plans. A couple notables in there, South Middleton, Morgan's Crossing is a big development in South Middleton, and we saw one phase of that. It includes 39 townhouses. And we saw Middlesex Township for part of the data center, the PAX one. There was a phase 1C, which is just a lay down area for storage. There's no buildings or anything with that phase. So we submitted that plan back to Middlesex. As always, the growth dashboard is available for review. If there's ever a question, please let me know. MPC reviews, we saw one in Camp Hill. They're codifying their ordinances and they just had a lot of cleanup stuff that was included. And Shippensburg Borough, they had some language for a skill game parlor regulations. And I actually coordinated that a little bit with Fred and sent that out to the borough of Shippensburg. And there were no adoptions that we were made aware of. I think a lot of times regulations are adopted and we're not made aware. So every year or two, I make a table of all the ones that we didn't hear about and send out. So none received for the month of April.
Board's probably aware of the illegal spot zoning case filed against Middlesex Township. So I'm not sure whether or not our recommendation, our report will be called into that, or if any requests will be made for testimony from any of the planning commission members or that of the staff. So tracking that, that moves ahead, I'll let you guys know if there's anything requested of us.
And for right now, that's going before the zoning hearing.
Correct. Yeah.
Is there a date for that? Do you know?
I don't know. Charlie, Charlie tracks this stuff tight.
I think it's the meeting in June.
Well, yeah, last I knew there was no date set,
Okay.
but ordinarily they would have a meeting in June, but I don't know if they would meet the public notice requirements for all that, so it might be July. But I don't know.
The board recalls back last year at one point, there was a similar case in Hampton Township. It was a rezoning. We were called to provide some additional comment by one of the judges on that, which we provided. And then there was a request from one of the parties to that case to have the county planning commission provide comment. And Tracy Vernon at the time was going to do that. I'm not sure where that case stands, but there is precedent. I've done some of this stuff before in the past too, when there's litigation over land use actions.
Anything else?
No.
All righty.
Thank you.
Legislative report.
Nate's not
Yeah,
here.
I saw that.
You can see the new format. We worked with Nate on the. Yeah, okay, that is a new format. I was like, uh-oh. But no, that is the new format. So we're tracking a list of legislation there, links to any of those. So if you have any questions, let us know. And then also Nate's been tracking these too, so he has a lot more detail on any of these.
I did have one piece of legislation I came across was to license well drillers. Did you guys come across that? That there's a proposed legislation. Pennsylvania is one of the few states that doesn't regulate private wells in any way. So it's kind of the Wild West out there. And I came across the legislation, I think it was from Penn Futures proposing it, and I think it's coming up. To basically, it doesn't create regulation in terms of, let's say, a county health authority, which many states, that's the way they do it. They have a county health authority that inspects wells and certifies wells. They're putting it on the well drillers to be licensed and to be certified in terms of best practices. So, of course, when I talked to my well driller, he was pretty much dead against it because he doesn't want to do that. But I do think I raise it only in that potentially in our county, I think it's a huge issue. I think maybe the county or the planning commission might take a look at that one too and write a letter to our commissioners, our representatives.
Yeah, send that over to us, Ed, if you have the
Yeah.
House bill number or Senate bill, whatever it is.
You're not aware of it. I think it came up through Penn Future. I'm not sure. I'll find it.
Thank you. Move on to consistency letters.
Kirk, do you want me to do the growth trends?
We'll just, well, the consistency letters, there's not a lot there. You can see that there's letters there. It's grant season for a lot of the various state programs. So we're seeing some of these come in, writing letters. I can say that the process we have now where folks are submitting online has really worked well. And I think the other issue we're seeing is folks are submitting letters. Our new comprehensive plan is working well, that those 8 principles people can latch onto and they understand them. So that when we see some of these things come before us, previously it was, they had like 8 or 9 objectives trying to say how it's consistent. Now it's, a series of those 8 principles saying, well, we're consistent with this principle. It's a very simple statement of consistency. So I think simplifying our comprehensive plan like that really has helped not only us, but also, a lot of our customers with our municipalities and our residents to understand exactly what good planning looks like. So it's in simple terms. So we're seeing that coming back to us through these letters of support.
Kirk, Steph isn't here, but the Dickinson Township project, does that tie to the land partnership grant?
I don't know, Fred.
Okay.
Elizabeth, you know?
I think it's a further phase. Like, I think there was a land partnership grant for a park acquisition, and this is
Right,
actually
we had that, right.
development at another park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And I jumped past it.
It's okay, he's used to it.
Yeah. It's fine.
You just,
So in your packet, we included the 2025 growth trends report. And I thought instead of just saying, are there any questions? And approaching it that way, maybe do some questions, a little pop quiz for you guys. So I know when I told Kirk there was a pop quiz, he opened his book and started studying, and it's not that kind of quiz, Kirk. Everything's fine. So from beginning, here we go. It's a pop quiz. From 2024 to 2025, dwelling units changed by what percentage in Cumberland County? Just throw it out there, guys. Remember the code of conduct? Forget that. Just Any guesses?
I read it and I can't remember.
I know, minus 18.
I do remember
It increased by 55% from 24 to 25.
Okay, right, and a lot of that was the multi-unit.
Yeah, a lot of apartments. Speaking of apartments, the largest single development planned in 2025 is how many units? Again, just throw it out.
194.
212.
252.
252.
Let's go.
Over.
What was the development?
I believe that was East Pennsboro Township. Would that have been
it's what Inchin Company's doing.
the one that the old Rite Aid building? Is that what that was? I don't remember which project it was. I just know it was East Penn.
We can quiz you too. Come on.
Looks like that failed.
Oh, you're wrong, Steve. It's a Silver Spring Township.
Oh, was it Silver
Forty
Spring?
Green Apartments.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I
East Penn one we listed at 235.
I double
So
failed.
close.
I double failed.
We have fact check, man.
All right, commercial industrial buildings. Planned. Which land use had the largest building? It's like Jeopardy.
I thought it was chicken houses.
Yeah, I was gonna guess.
Well, this is commercial industrial. That's
Okay.
ag. So
Okay.
it was ag. It was a poultry barn. So I took that out and just said commercial industrial, not agriculture.
Gotta be the way.
I say warehouse.
Warehouse.
What about retail store for the Costco? The one?
Good.
Yeah.
Good guess. It was actually construction. Carlisle Materials had a building proposed for testing and lab, and it was all to test their construction stuff. So I thought that was interesting because that's not a land use that usually,
How many square feet was it?
I'm sorry,
How many square feet was it?
120-ish,
That's it?
kind of. All right, which building has the most square footage? BJ's in Hampton, Costco in Silver Spring, or Kirk's house?
No, it's not.
I gotta, there's a little disclaimer here, because Kirk's house is kind of like Costco West. I
Costco stuff.
I understand he does a lot of shopping at Costco, so.
Might live in Costco.
It's so, I guess it's Costco Silver Spring or Costco South Middleton. Any guesses?
BJ's Hampton.
I've gone Costco.
No, I
Costco.
feel Costco.
Costco's big.
Okay.
How much bigger than BJ's?
Oh, man.
How
You
many,
guys are killing me.
how many Kirk's houses would fit inside of Costco? Two.
Which one has better parking?
Costco.
Kirk's house.
I'd say Costco has better parking. Kirk's house. Well, you could park in Kirk's house, though.
Spots in the driveway.
All right, so planned commercial industrial units. One of these municipality tied for number 2. This was a surprise for me. That's why I threw it in there.
Shippensburg.
I say Shippensburg.
Shippensburg Township. They had, I think it was 3 commercial industrial units in 2025, which tied them for 2nd place in the county.
Who was first?
I don't know.
I don't play for second.
There's also a tie for first, which was only 3 units. I don't remember who it was, but there was a tie. There were 7. That had
It's
to-
got to be in
Yeah.
there.
Either 3 and 2. All right, which township issued the most building permits in 25? These are all big hitters, so that's
South Middleton.
Going with Middlesex.
East Pennsburg.
South Middleton. South Middleton wins. Did you guys have any questions on the growth trend report in general? It's our typical layout, and I think we're going to try and clean it up and make it a little more modern for next year. We have a few ideas floating around. I'm going to work with Nate, maybe do some GIS stuff in the growth trends. That's all obviously very early. We don't usually release this until late winter, spring of the following year, so.
I thought it was well done. It was fun. It was fairly short. I guess in terms of people digesting it, were good examples that we didn't digest it so well.
And I wrote it.
Yeah.
You guys stumped me with 3 questions.
Is it possible to do an executive summary that's 3 paragraphs that says, these are the growth trends for Cumberland County that are kind of the headline? Because I think stepping back and looking at the 30,000 foot level is great to do. It's really helpful, but how do you digest it in a way?
I mean, we can do a summary. The document has several graphs in it, and it's only 5 pages, so.
Right.
It's kind of already an executive summary of growth. I can make a shorter one if we think that's worthwhile.
The document, when Steve and I were talking about it, the document's a little tired because we've used the same format for several years. I think moving ahead, we're still discussing some of this, how to do it. A lot of the building permit information now we've been working with tax assessment. We have a dashboard we use internally. We can go in and search this stuff and it's kind of self-serve. I think moving ahead, if we can get some of those self-serve tools available to us, but also the public, to go in and look at it, you can go in and self-serve it. And then what we could do is potentially just, what are the findings from 24 to 25, have a bulleted list and shorten it even more, because that's so what part of it is the important part. Like, where's it happening? Why is it happening? Any major trends that we could point out. But we do get a lot of requests for that data, that after they see the report, they want the data. I think if we can make the data widely available, it's self-serve for our residents, whomever's going to use it.
Yeah, I mean, to tease you, what I like about our comp plan is there's a lot of pictures. There aren't too many pictures in there. There's a lot of graphs.
A lot of graphs.
Well, yeah, and a lot of great data though.
It
Like
is-
the
it is
data
good
is,
data.
I don't remember, you don't remember the exact things, but I think the data is really, I geek out on that, so.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I know that we're planning nerds too, but like that the game was fun, right? So maybe the YouTube channel, like, do a similar, like, Jeopardy style, like, have the different planning, I don't know.
It will pick 3 planning
Yeah.
commission members.
I didn't tell you guys, but this is all recorded. You're now all YouTubers.
Thank you, though. I agree. It's good, very good data, very good to step back and look at.
Just on a side note, ironically, Southampton Township is calling me right now.
I was wondering.
Patch him into the meeting.
That was your phone call.
Thank you, Steve. That was entertaining
Thank
and
you.
informative. Thank you. Moving on to our commissioners liaison.
Yes, so we held a primary election yesterday. I hope everybody was able to get out and vote. The turnout was not as great as we always would love to see more people exercising that right. But it did get wrapped up relatively quickly. And I think I may have shared here before, I try and welcome as many people to the training classes that are participating. And for this cycle, for some reason, we had so many more new participants helping us in the polls. And so that was really exciting to see. I think most people were staying so far from elections because it does tend to, it can get combative in those environments, but I think that we've reached a better place where people are understanding that everyone has a right to vote, no matter what they're wearing, no matter how, who they may support. And it's great to see, and younger people participating, because we have had a lot of retirees that were stalwarts to making that process work. So that's exciting. My colleague, Commissioner Fasci, yesterday was honored by the YWCA as a Persimmon Award recipient, and it was very well deserved for her work. Specifically, she's a big champion of women and children's causes at the county, in addition to a host of others. But was delighted to be able to attend and support her in that. Monday, we will have a bunch of Memorial Day events throughout the county. We have them listed on our website, so I would encourage you, if you are around. I hope that they aren't rained out. There's the parade in Newville is a question at this point, but there's a listing on our website, and the Big 33 event is happening at Cumberland Valley High School on Monday as well. The board approved a new strategic plan yesterday in our meeting, and the last one was done in 2008. This has been quite a long, lengthy time in the making. And we are currently trying to set up a meeting with our elected delegation to talk to them and present it to them, because this plan does talk about collaboration with them, and we are seeing more and more regionalization in the things that we do. And I think that they need to be aware of that that's something that I believe counties need to embrace. And it's one way that we can all maybe save money, is doing things more regionally. So we're looking forward to that. And I am on the CCAP, which is our Association for County Commissioners. I am on their governance committee, and I am chairing a legislative group, a subcommittee for that governance, where we're going to be looking and talking about how pending legislation affects counties, and if we want to really lobby hard on behalf of some legislation, or try and, get them to maybe consider our position when they're writing it. So if there is something in Nate's report that you see, please make sure that we talk about it here, so that I can carry that back to my subcommittee and take it to them, and maybe other counties are experiencing the same thing. And we do from time to time receive emails and written correspondence at the commissioner level about the data center in Middlesex. I have not shared those with this board, but if you would like, we can do that. Much of it is saying, what are we going to do about stopping it? It's our obligation, and I think this board knows quite well, who's responsible for the zoning in the municipalities. But if you have any interest in seeing that, please let me know. I'm happy. We're happy to share those. And I guess lastly, June 26th, 10 to 2, our public safety is having its summer fair. So if you are in that area on June 26th, stop on by and the forensic lab always has all kinds of fascinating stuff that they bring out. So stop on by then and see it. That's it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
Kelly, could you talk a little bit more about your comment about regional collaboration and
Yeah.
kind of the areas of focus that you're looking at there?
Well, so one is actually just our forensic lab. Crime happens all over the place. Guns go to different counties and are used in different ways. We have applied for a grant for a specific system. It's called NIBIN, and it can track guns that are used in different crimes. And so that's something, but there's a cost associated with that. Even once we would hopefully receive the funding, it's really going to require the other counties to help, but it can help them process crimes in their county. So that's an example. Our 911 telephone system is one that is shared amongst, at this time, I think 3 or 4 counties. So it is more seamless. If we have disruption to a portion of that service, calls route automatically to other counties, and we actually experienced that. So there's some great backup, and quite frankly, Fred, one of the things that we were staring down the road at was several $1 million for a backup 911 center within our county. So this has helped alleviate that. So those are 2 that come to mind pretty, and we have joinders with Perry County in delivering a lot of services as well. And those may need to be broadened. There's some talk about regionalizations of prisons because Cumberland County, our warden does an amazing job, and we are housing prisoners from other counties that can't get staffing. Franklin, Huntington, they're struggling with staffing for their prisons. And we house those and Perry County inmates as well. So those kinds of things, when we have an operation that does a phenomenal job and we have the capacity, it's really very helpful to the other counties when we do that for them. So I just think that county commissioners are starting to think more about how do we give great service in an affordable way for everyone.
I applaud those efforts, and I think there are a lot of cost-saving measures that can be incorporated there.
Yeah, thank you. We're work in progress. My pleasure.
Thank you. Coordinating agencies.
And it's just online.
I see Janet. Janet's on. There's Janet.
Yeah, good.
She froze.
Uh-oh.
Can you message her?
I'll have mine. Okay. Mine's freezing too.
I think she was the only coordinating agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Any others online? Any other coordinating agencies? In the meantime, George, you want me to go over the planning program report?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So, board members, you have our dashboard for April. We had our data center forum, so that was really well attended. I think at the peak one now we had close to 300 people on the live call, another close to 100 on the live stream. So very successful. I just looked a little bit ago. We have 465 views of the video on YouTube. So I went very well. There's always going to be critics. Every time you do something, you're hiding this, you're not doing this right, you didn't do this. We're doing something. And that's the important part, that we brought together a balanced panel. We had a balanced discussion on the issue. Something that the folks behind the scenes, especially a lot of the critics who are, you didn't want to have this public, you didn't want to have a public event because whatever the answer of the day is. The reason we don't want to have it public is because this forum and this format really allows us to reach more people. It continues to reach people now because the video is out there. Behind the scenes, we answered 57 questions over the 2 hours of that forum. Had we had a public meeting where we answered 57 questions, we would have been lucky to get through 2 or 3 with a live event. Because there's a tendency, one person will ask a question, if they keep adding on, it's very difficult to get through all the material. So during that session, questions were being asked, our panelists, I answered a few, Elizabeth answered a few, we're answering questions as it goes, 57 responses. And then after the fact too, we're following up with answers to questions from other folks that have sent them in. So in terms of getting good public information, I think the event went really well. I'm very pleased with it. I honestly think that format worked a lot better than an in-person one. You know, if residents really have a lot of strong concerns and want to have their public input heard on specific projects, the best place to do that is a municipal meeting, where there's an active consideration of an amendment or a plan. So thanks to everyone for that. Ed, I give Ed special thanks for helping out from the Planning Commission. Did a great job for us. And, you know, I'm talking about Elizabeth did all the work for it. So she did
all the heavy
phenomenal
lifting.
job pulling this together.
And our IT guy back there.
Yeah, Mike Carter was there with us. Mike,
He was the master behind the scenes, I'll tell you. I was in the room with him. He was great.
And Kirk, I'm remiss in not mentioning that it came up at the CAPCOG meeting I attended the other evening, where a municipality in Dauphin County said, "Oh, I watched that. What an amazing job and resource." So there were a lot of other folks in the room that I directed them to our YouTube channel to view that. And so it's like you said, it's going to live on, and they were really complimentary about that.
Elizabeth really went above and beyond in this one. I know it's frustrating with everything else you had going on, but really put in the work to get this organized, get the speakers, and then we had to redo it. So thanks, Elizabeth, for your hard work. We really appreciate it.
I thought it was very well done. I'm one of those folks that watch them on YouTube. So one thing that I thought, I really enjoyed the Q&A.
Absolutely.
And I think, Kurt, you asked the last question, and I think it kind of summed the whole deal up for me. Was, I think it was like the answer was, you know, to do all the proper planning, because one bad apple makes it bad for everybody, basically. And and that's true in anything, but I thought that summed it up, because it just grows, you know, you have one, it just grows from there. But I thought there was a lot of good information. I thought the panelists were very well spoken, and I enjoyed watching them, but I really enjoyed the Q&A.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it was great to do it the YouTube format that it's out there, because I was in Lower Spatera Township a month or so ago for just an unrelated meeting. But before me, there's all these residents coming out about that Dolphin Highlands project. So before I presented anything on mine, I just gave the county's YouTube page a quick plug and kind of pointed the residents and the board to that as a resource. It's out there now for anyone in the region that wants to get more information too.
So this was one example of that. You know, we have the YouTube channel out there. I just looked this morning. We have over 1,200 views of all the videos we have up. So, you know, we're not breaking the internet, but at the same time, 1,200 people that we're engaging with that otherwise we wouldn't have connected with. So keep that in mind. If you have ideas for other public forums like that, we have the tech, we have the experience, and honestly, it's fun to do. You know, it can be stressful, but it's fun to do. That's why we're here. You know, like if we can't get excited about doing that stuff, then we're in the wrong job. So, you know, if you have other ideas, we've been talking internally about some of the other material we want to put out in public forums like this, but I think we want to continue to do these in the future.
Kirk made a good point to me. You know, if we do something here in person, some kind of training or educational thing, we get 30 people. We're like, oh yeah, that was a good turnout. We had 30 people. And all these videos that we have on are way, way over 30 people. So it really does reach, and it's there forever. Theoretically, I guess, forever. Where, you know, years from now, somebody can say, oh, what about these data centers? And they can still open those videos. I think it's a really, really great idea.
But we're not building you a studio.
No. We don't need that. The rest of the report's there. Just a couple other quick highlights. One, I'm not sure if it's in here. On the farmland preservation side, we received a $250,000 grant from SRBC for groundwater recharge protection. So That's one area we have been focusing on with a lot of Elizabeth's works of looking at groundwater, looking at our water resources. SRBC is a great partner, and we found out about their critical aquifer recharge area program where they have money available to help permanently preserve lands that are critical aquifer recharge areas. So I think the stat is like 20% of the county's land area is responsible for 80% of our groundwater resources. In this case, that program is focused on preserving them. And what we found that there's overlap between those areas and our preserved farms. So that money can go into our program, permanently preserve those lands. And the best part about it is then we can put that money up for match from the state and essentially double it. So again, Steph's not here, but when we look at these programs, we go above and beyond and just going to the commissioners with hat in hand saying, we have money for the program. We try and take the commissioner's money, leverage it against other sources to make sure we're getting the biggest bang for our buck. So SRBC, federal resources, it takes extra work, but at the end of the day, the benefits we get out of that far outweigh that work. And consider our staff's passionate about what we do, and it shows in all the extra miles that we go to make sure that we're getting the money here to do the important projects that benefit our county.
Kirk, I'm only going to make one correction to that. It's not commissioners' money, it's taxpayers.
Taxpayer, correct, yep.
And I think they should know how well you leverage that. And I know we've talked about it with the farmland preservation, but this is a great example of another component where you're just getting more money to provide into that bucket to do great work. So maybe that's something on the YouTube thing.
Yeah, well, and I want to just shout out to Elizabeth did an interview with Pierre.
Pierre McCoy.
So, and it's on SRBC's groundwater recharge. So what Kirk just mentioned, real nice mapping to look at the map of the county and to see all that. And I encourage it. It's only a 15, 20 minute. And Pierre's a fun guy. He grew up in Newville area. He's a farmer, but he makes hydrogeology sort of for dummies, which is really nice. So I would encourage you to watch that because it really explains that whole key piece.
Aside from that, in municipal technical assistance, we're helping municipalities, Southampton, we mentioned data center ordinances, Dickinson Township, Lower Allen Township. Who else, Steve? Is there anybody else?
Lower Frankfurt.
Lower Frankfurt.
We were working on data centers, solar and wind, and then it turned into let's make a commercial district. They don't really have a commercial zoning district, so looks like it's going to be more of a zoning overhaul for the township.
In South Newton? You're
South
helping
Newton.
them too?
Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Right.
How about Upper Island? Where do they stand? I know you've been providing some, fairly extensive assistance to them.
I gave them a draft to start. And I don't know if you guys are aware, Jen Boyer used to work at Upper Island and she left. She left the township. So I gave them a draft and their staff, I think they started to look at it and then they thought, let's wait until we get our new Jen Boyer, the replacement, and then sit down and address this. So they have hired Michelle Meisel. She was originally from Pennsylvania. She worked in Virginia for a while. Now she's back in Pennsylvania. She's reached out to us for us to come down and just introduce so we can work together. So we're going to meet her first Friday in June. I forget the date. We're going to go meet her, and she is already reaching out to me asking about consultants that do comp plans, how much the average cost is for a new comp plan, RFP examples for a comp plan. So I think she's going after a comp plan update. And I would assume relatively soon, she'll be putting together the data center ordinance as well.
Okay, so they have hired somebody.
Yes, yeah, I think that ball is starting to move.
Okay.
Last point on infrastructure, we have our small bridge program, that the bridges that are under 20 feet in length. So we have a number of grants out there. Just an observation that I've seen from that. I see that program really benefiting our small municipalities. So South Newton just bid a project. Lower Mifflin was actually the first community in the county to get a grant and complete the project to be reimbursed. And they did it exceptionally well. So I've seen that our smaller townships are working with us on that. But not only is it that they're doing that well, I see that it's opening the door then to other grant opportunities. They learn how to go through the grant process. Lower Mifflin, South Newton, both of them now have a lot of other grant opportunities they're pursuing. So I think as they work with us, I think grants from the county are pretty simple. The barriers for entry are really limited for us. in our grant program, they see the benefits of getting those grants and they expand it to other opportunities in the township. So I'm really pleased with that program. I want to see it continue. We're going to work on the next phase of it, which will look at the areas of years of 2028 to 2030. So we're kind of planning in 3-year increments on that. But so far, the municipalities are moving their projects ahead, meeting all the requirements. I think it's really going to benefit not only our infrastructure will improve, but also increasing municipal capacity to work on projects like this.
We're running out of things we can do YouTube videos for, but that would be another good one.
Yeah,
There's lots of YouTube videos.
we need to hire more staff and they get a studio.
I want some special effects people.
Makeup department.
I think it's interesting what you said, though, about the multiplier effect of going through the process for a tangible benefit, like a small bridge that they know needs replaced. But now that they know how to do it, they're suddenly educated. It's made it real for them. And now they're going out and finding grants and stuff.
Well, Lower Mifflin and South Newton are two examples. The rural municipalities, they really look out for the residents. I'll use South Newton as an example. They went and they bid the project, and I talked to their manager, and she's looking for all these different grants. And they did it without hiring expensive consultants to do it. They're doing it on their own. And I think that grassroots of understanding your community, communicating those needs up through our legislators is so important. And if we can get our communities in Cumberland County to continue to do that, their money leverages our money, leverages state money. And at the end of the day, it all gets back to benefiting our residents, which, like Ellie said, is what we're in this game for. So we look at our programs here. Sometimes we kind of look at them and how it works for the county and the benefits, but there's these other multipliers that are so important.
And I'll add to that, a lot of the townships are also working together. Amy is the manager at South Newton. She is now working with Penn to help them. Karen at Lower Frankfurt is also working with Penn. North Newton helps with the three of them. They kind of all work together. Then one of them gets a grant, and then the other one's saying, "How did you get the money for that bridge?" And so I think there's a network forming with all the townships, and it really serves them well.
Did we get Janet back?
Hello. I'm going to leave the camera off. I've had technical difficulties all morning, so I'm not sure what's going on. Just a few updates. I don't know what you may have heard. We did receive grant applications for our tourism grants. They were due the beginning of May. We received $2.4 million in requests. One of the events that we funded previously is Big 33. So Kelly brought that up. We hope you all will show up for that game, and we hope that there's no rain. Today we have the launch of our ice cream trail at Faye's at 1 o'clock. So we hope you'll show up for that as well. You're all invited. Quick update on Frog Switch. We are still waiting for our demo permit from the borough, but abatement continues on that site. So if you see things happening, that's what it is. And finally, we did choose Montrose as our qualified environmental professional for the EPA Brownfield grant. And Kirk, do you remember as soon as we selected them, they changed their name? Do you recall what that name is?
I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I mean, it was immediate. So I'll say Montrose today, but we'll update that later. And we'll be presenting at the outreach meeting in September, hopefully with that group anyway. So that's all I have for today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just as a note, that phase that she's referencing is in New Cumberland. It's ice cream, not Carlisle.
Oh, did I say Carlisle?
Yeah. No, it just
We're Carlisle centric.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the clarity on that. I didn't want to go to the wrong ice cream place.
You get an omelet at one and an ice cream at the other.
Hey, if you come and sign up for the trail, you get a free ice cream. So there is
Awesome.
is value in doing that.
I just changed my mind.
Ed, I think you had a couple of.
Yeah, just in the interest of public education, and I'm very sensitive to the issue that as commission members, we are reflecting the county's position, which the county is neither for nor against data centers, right? But the county is for best practices and is for educating the public. And our forum was a great step. I'm afraid that some of my old friends found it boring and difficult to follow because it was too detailed, but I think it's one of those things, you have to put out a lot of detail, otherwise you're not addressing it. So I was pleased to see Tom out here. I had talked to Tom. I'm a member of the Carlisle, not their board, but the Clean Air Board. I'm a member there. So I brought along the flyer for that is in fact happening tonight, and it does have the Zoom connection with it. There's also another one planned for June 11th at the Carlisle Theater. That is being hosted by the Stewards of Cumberland County. I chatted with them briefly just to kind of clarify who their presenters were going to be. It seems primarily folks from Penn Future. If you're not familiar with Penn Future, they've got a location up in the Northeast. They've been very active in both legal. They have a legal expert who's done a lot of model ordinance work for them, and they've also looked at a lot of the environmental issues. So apparently they're going to be part of that, but that's going to be held at Carlisle Theater, June 11th from 7 to 9 p.m. And they're going with a totally different format. It sounds a little chaotic to me, frankly, but they're going to have just questions and answers with a room full of people. So it'll be a different kind of event in some ways. But there's that. And then you probably all are aware of this, but PAX 1 in Middlesex Township has put out a website to keep residents informed about the process of what's going on. And I think that was primarily in response to things like the blasting and to know when the blasting was happening, et cetera. So it's an attempt to communicate. And I say that in that when I go around the county, people are saying to me, what about the data centers? So now we've got the YouTube channel, we've got, official places that we can send people and to learn more. PAX 1 would be a place to send people also that there's information there. So thank you. And it's just informational, and I'm fully aware that we're all sticking with the plan that we're neither for nor against, which is appropriate.
Thank you.
George, I have a
Yes.
couple informational items too. The DCED's Governor's Center for Local Government Services, my old agency, has recently announced a new planning technical assistance program that is available across the board to municipalities now. And Kirk, I'm not sure if you've had any discussion with Kathy about this or not, how that might coordinate with the technical assistance that, the commission or the department is providing, but, should be some level of coordination, I think, between in that regard.
I have a call scheduled with Kathy. She just emailed me this morning, actually. We're trying to get together so we can
Okay,
talk
good.
about that. Yep.
Okay. And second point, kudos to Kirk. He was recently appointed as the chairman of the state planning board. And I think, that speaks well of his capabilities. I know we've had some discussion about how the planning board at the state level can be more effective in really meeting the needs of local governments across the state. So, but kudos to him.
Yep, I saw that as well, and thank you for.
Well, thanks. I called Fred this week to get some wisdom and advice from him, which is very helpful and taking some. So we'll see where it goes. I think the state planning board has potential, but the state planning board won't be able to elevate itself. It's going to need the support of state agencies, government policy office, and others to make it successful. So see where it goes. I think that the work at the state planning board is absolutely transferable to what we're doing here. So I'm anxious to work with them. I've been on the board for a while, but interested to bring back some of the ideas and stuff that we learned there back to Cumberland County. So I don't see that as something that's over here is the state responsibility, has no bearing to what we're doing here. And I don't see it as a heavy lift either. So it's not something that's going to detract a lot of time from what I'm doing here, because this is and always will be my first priority.
I don't doubt that. Can you say more about the mission of the state planning board? Because it's news to me, kind of. I mean, the state planning board doesn't control the MPC. That's legislative, right? I assume. Or do they have direct impact in the MPC? The state planning board?
No, it's governor's appointed board, 15 members, provide guidance and insight in the governor's policy development. State agencies are part of the board. There's some legislators that are there. So, I think that when you see state issues of statewide significance, ideally they would go to that board for review, recommendation to the state agency and development of an action plan. It hasn't always worked that way. It's had its ups and downs, I think, but looking ahead, issues like data center and housing, sustainability, things like that could likely go to the board and have the board, the experts, statewide experts that are on the board, really provide good guidance to the governor and also the state agencies that are there. Fred, you've worked with it too. So.
Yeah, it brings together, in particular, 5 key state agencies: Ag, DEP, DCNR, PennDOT, and DCED. I think the governor's policy office and the direction that, from a top-down standpoint, that the administration can give says a lot about how effective the state planning board is going to be and can be. They do issue a 5-year growth management report. I think the most recent one was a year ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it's just released. So I'll share it with the board. Okay. We just finished it up. Yep.
Just finishing it up. That they do that on a 5-year basis. Again, that has a statewide focus, land use trends, development trends that are occurring.
Okay. But primarily serving at the pleasure of the governor and advisory to the governor is the primary role. Thank you.
Past studies, I did one on housing. I did a really good one on local government permit reform. So there's been some past studies that I think have been really good. Under the Corbett administration, the permitting reform went under the Corbett administration, got a little traction, but some of the studies that get done, you wonder, are they being used?
Thank you. Congratulations, we think.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments from good of the order?
Just one more informational item. Next month, Stephanie, Nate, and I will be hosting an agricultural security area training, really geared towards municipal administration.
Oh, good.
We have, I think there's 6 coming up next year for their 7-year reviews. So we're going to be offering kind of direct and technical assistance to those municipalities to keep them on their timeline. But it really is a municipal focus, but certainly ag security area advisory committees are welcome as our planning commission members.
What, do you have a date?
June 23rd in the morning, right here. I'll be sending out the registration.
Thank you. Anything else? Anybody care to make a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
No trauma with election day at all.
Yeah, I guess it was more outside the polls. There were